thank you very much, everyone, for being here. As you know, the House of Commons is paralyzed today, again, I think for the 7th day, after Justin Trudeau refused the Speaker's order to hand over evidence to the police in a $400 million scandal. A scandal involving 186 conflicts of interest, wherein Liberal appointees gave money, Canadian tax dollars, to their own companies. There must be something really damaging in all these documents Trudeau is covering up for him to shut down the House's businesses for 7 days in order to prevent the police from getting their hands on him. It's just another reminder that after 9 years of Justin Trudeau, everything is broken. He's not worth the crime, the cost, and the corruption. Housing costs have doubled. The cost of food has driven 2 million people to the food bank. Our economy is the fastest shrinking in the G7. Right now, the average American makes 50% more than the average Canadian, the worst gap between our two countries in Canadian history. Food price inflation has been 36% higher in Canada than in the U.S., something that the food professor Sylvain Charlebois attributes directly to the carbon tax, which, and they're the worst, the news gets even worse. Trudeau wants to quadruple to 61 cents a litre, which will grind our economy to a halt. Factories won't get their parts, grocery stores won't get their food, workers won't get their paychecks. It will be like a nuclear winter for our economy if this quadrupling carbon tax goes ahead. And that's why common sense Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime after the carbon tax election. But worse than anything else is what we see in our streets today. What has happened to our country? The division, the violence, the hate, the danger, the anti-Semitism that we've never seen before in this country. Now, it's easy to blame the firebombing of synagogues, the hateful genocidal protests, protest chants in front of Jewish businesses, homes, and hospitals as simply a reaction to a conflict in the Middle East. Doesn't make sense. First, hate crime was up over 100% before October 7th. And second, this is not the first time there's been a conflict in the Middle East. There was the war of 1967. And then there was the Yom Kippur War in 73. There were 2 intifadas. There was the war against Hezbollah in 2006. There was the operation against Hamas in 2014. We never saw that violence spill onto our streets. We didn't see people bring those hatreds into Canada. But after 9 years of Trudeau's radical ideology, his deliberate attempts to divide people into groups, his reckless destruction of our border security, letting in 2 ISIS terrorists, one apparently videotaped mutilating a human body on a crucifix and subsequently making that person a citizen. These kinds of reckless policies and the actions of this government, the refusal to condemn these remarks. Just yesterday, the Minister of Foreign Affairs did something unbelievable on the floor of the House of Commons. I read the genocidal comments that have been made by these radical mobs, and I said, would you just condemn it? From the river to the sea, she wouldn't condemn that. Israel will soon be gone. She wouldn't condemn that. There's only one solution, intifada, revolution. She wouldn't condemn that. She wouldn't even affirm Israel's right to retaliate against other countries attacking it. She should apologize. A foreign affairs minister in Canada should find it very easy to condemn those kinds of remarks, but she didn't because she's pandering politically, which is what Justin Trudeau has been doing for the last 9 years. Today, we see that on our streets, the organization Samadoun, which is a front for the PFLP, has been fomenting these violent and horrific protests and mob actions. This organization is a front for an already banned terrorist group, and it is an offense under Section 83.5 of the Criminal Code, as enacted by the Anti-Terrorism Act, to knowingly act on behalf of, at the direction of, or in association with a terrorist entity. Specifically, Samadoun's founder, Khalid Barakat, has been described by the Israeli government as a high-ranking member of the PFLP. The PFLP has been placed on the list of banned Canadian terrorist entities for 20 years. In 2021, the Israeli Ministry of National Defense designated Samadoun as an organization that is a subsidiary of the PFLP. Germany banned the Samadoun, saying that it served as an international network which disseminates anti-Israel and anti-Jewish propaganda and supported and glorified various foreign terrorist organizations, including Hamas. Samadoun's leadership was deported from Germany, refused entry into the EU in 2022, and both times they were returned and, of course, welcomed to Canada. In 2019, PayPal, DonorBox, and Plaid shut out online donations to Samadoun due to its alleged links to the PFLP, following an incident in June where the PFLP issued an official statement of gratitude to Samadoun for its support of its prisoners. And Samadoun's Canadian leader, Charlotte Cates, has traveled to Iran and appeared on state TV, where she described Hamas's actions of October 7th as brave and heroic. Her organization has gone on to make numerous glorifications of October the 7th, specifically saying, this was what she said, her group said yesterday, "Long live October 7th. October 7th, the inception of the Al-Aqsa flood, the day that made clear to the world that Palestinian people and their armed resistance can and will liberate Palestine, and that the entire region will be free of Zionism and imperialism. The great flood toward liberation." On October 7, 2023, Mohammed Deif, commander of the Al-Qassam brigades and the Palestinian resistance, said, "Today, the people reclaim their revolution, correct their path, and return to the march and return to the march of return." And finally, yesterday, the organization chanted in our streets, in Canadian streets, "Death to Canada, death to the United States, and death to Israel." So this is a terrorist organization. Common sense conservatives are calling for the government under Section 83.03 of the Criminal Code to ban Samadoun now. And let's bring home safety and security and peace to our streets. Let's unify our people. Let's end the crime by locking up the dangerous, repeat offenders. Let's secure our borders. Let's keep terrorists out of our country. And let's stand up for what's right once again. Stand with our allies against terrorism and for decency. Let's bring home the country that we knew and still love. Thank you.
À propos des demandes de documents que vous avez préparées en Chambre, même les gens de la GRC disent on n'en a pas besoin. Est-ce que ce ne serait pas le moment d'envoyer tout ça à Proc?
C'est pas clair ce que vous dites. Moi, je crois que si le GRC n'en a pas besoin, ils peuvent l'ignorer. On dit que simplement les policiers devraient les avoir, et c'est le GRC qui peut, à ce moment, décider si oui ou non ils vont utiliser ces documents-là. Mais il n'y a aucune raison pour laquelle le gouvernement ne fournira pas les documents à la GRC dans une enquête. Si Justin Trudeau n'a rien à cacher dans ce scandale de 400 millions de dollars où la vérificatrice générale a trouvé 184 incidents de conflit d'intérêts, donc le gouvernement devrait simplement fournir les documents.
Quelle est votre position sur le discours haineux? Quelle est votre position sur le discours haineux? Vous savez que certains propos, vous avez dit, peut-être bénéficient de l'exception religieuse dans le discours haineux. Le Bloc québécois a fait un projet de loi là, pour enlever ça, pour que des discours antisémites ne pourraient pas tomber dans l'exception religieuse de la loi, du code criminel.
Notre lecture dit que les propos haineux qui font appel à la violence n'ont pas accès à l'exception dont vous parlez. Donc, ma lecture, je ne suis pas évidemment un avocat, mais ma lecture, c'est que les policiers devraient arrêter ceux et celles qui font appel à la violence, même si ces personnes-là utilisent la religion comme étant leur défense. Et à ce que je comprenne, la loi actuelle permet aux policiers de la faire. Donc, c'est ça que je dis. Les policiers et les couronnes provinciaux devraient mettre des allégations, porter des allégations formelles.
Yesterday you said that you endorse Israel proactively defending itself by hitting Iran's nuclear sites, which is something that President Joe Biden does not endorse. Do you not feel like this could lead to a likelihood of an all-out conventional war between Iran and Israel? And do you not agree with Joe Biden and his assessment?
I think the idea of allowing a genocidal, theocratic, unstable dictatorship that is desperate to avoid being overthrown by its own people to develop nuclear weapons is about the most dangerous and irresponsible thing that the world could ever allow. And if Israel were to stop that genocidal, theocratic, unstable government from acquiring nuclear weapons, it would be a gift by the Jewish state to humanity.
Earlier today, Chrystia Freeland said that she'd be willing to work with the Conservatives to pass any legislation referencing back during COVID where the two parties work together. Are there any priorities which you actually share with the Liberals where you could see the two parties working together to pass something?
What do you think? You seen anything good they're doing lately? By the way, I was very rude. I have an incredible team here. I want to point them out here. We have Don Stewart, who's been fighting against the crime, fighting to defend the Jewish community against anti-Semitism, a great businessman who understands how we can fix the budget. We have Raquel Dancho, who has been fighting for safe streets as our lead on matters of public safety, and a great voice for Manitoba. We have our great heroine and deputy leader, Melissa Lantzman, who, in addition to doing a terrific job in all of her roles, she helped this guy put his kippah on properly so it didn't fall off yesterday. So thank you for that. And she is leading the charge on literally every single file. And then we have, of course, Marty Morantz, a member of Parliament and Associate Finance Shadow Minister, who was the very first. I know all of you have been giving me credit for pointing out inflation would follow money printing. It was actually Marty Morantz. So please give Marty a round of applause, everybody. Well, you're asking me on, look, what is their policy? They've doubled the debt, they've doubled housing costs, they've given us the worst inflation in 40 years. They would have to they have to do exactly the opposite of everything they've done to fix all the problems that they've caused. What I'm saying is, let's axe the carbon tax to bring down gas, heat, and groceries rather than quadrupling the tax to 61 cents a litre. I would work with her on axing the carbon tax. I would allow her to take my private member's bill that will build the homes by removing bureaucracy to get building. I would allow the government to take my entire plan to cap government spending with a dollar for dollar law to bring down the deficit, inflation, and interest rates. And I would allow them to take my plan to stop the crime with jail, not bail, stronger borders, and not banning hunting rifles, and treatment rather than unsafe supply so we can bring our loved ones home drug-free. So take those.
So why not just agree?
No, but I'm just finishing the question. If you take those ideas, axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime, to Chrystia Freeland, let me know what she says.
Can't do any of that until this current debate is dispensed with. So why not just agree to send it to the committee like the Speaker has suggested? The RCMP says it already has some of these documents. Why continue to buy the government more time with keeping the House of Commons in stasis? You can't bring up your confidence motions.
It's been months now since the Auditor General revealed a $400 million spending scandal involving 186 instances of conflict of interest where Liberal appointees gave tax dollars to their own companies. $400 million is a lot of money for the single moms who can't afford groceries, the seniors who can't afford rent. We're not just going to let $400 million of corruption be swept under the rug so Justin Trudeau can get on with his day. So we say, let's end this now. Let's get Parliament back to work by handing over the documents to the police so we can bring home the